Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire Service. Have the opportunity here to talk with Jack Digwood from Elite Spine and Sports. And Jack, a pleasure for you to join us right now. A lot of us right now are in a holding pattern, and you yourself, you're continuing. You're doing a whole lot of stuff and staying busy at Elite Spine and Sports, unfortunately with this pandemic, but nonetheless, you're staying pretty positive about it.
Yeah. There's no other choice, I think, John. And my wife and I, for the last 6 weeks, have been the only employees here. So applying for the loan through the Small Business Association, reaching out to patients, reaching out to fitness members, doing online workouts to keep people moving. I don't think I've worked this hard in about the last 6 months. So time has flown by for me. I know that's not the case for a lot of people stuck at home with nothing to do right now.
Well, it's great to hear your story. You're a northeastern Pennsylvania guy. Your wife is from NEPA as well. So let's go back. Tell us about life growing up. And Riverside was the high school you attended.
Yeah, I consider myself lucky to have grown up in Taylor in the 1970s. Really simple time, working class neighborhood. Everybody had the same stuff. My mom initially was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked in factories. And it was just a great upbringing. Everybody in the neighborhood played sports. We had no video games, nothing of that nature. And we just were outside constantly. Really safe, quiet neighborhood, really cohesive. People love sports in Taylor and music. And I think that kind of shows in the performance of the Riverside teams throughout the years. We just love and we rallied together around sports. So that was a really simple, humble beginnings. My dad would do construction type work and get laid off. And I remember getting like discounted lunch tickets and kind of hand-me-down clothes and patches on the knees when your jeans would rip. So that kind of working class background, I think, has served me well throughout life because no matter what kind of success I have, I think I'm well grounded in what's important, and that's family and health and friendship.
A blue-collar mentality. And we talked a little bit about the high school days. Did you kind of know at a certain age, hey, this is what I definitely want to do for the rest of my life? At what age do you think it hit you?
Yeah, I love science. So I was really into just studying science in college. And I went to a guidance counselor, a professor that was assigned to me. And I said, I'm really fascinated with science. I said, I come from a poor background where I don't have like tons of money. I said, what can I do with a bachelor's degree in biology? And he said, well, do you like washing dishes? And I said, not at all. Like that's one of the least favorite things I have. He said, well, if you go to work with a bachelor's degree in biology, all you're going to do in a lab is wash the beakers for the guy with his PhD. So you're going to have to go for 3, 4, 5 more years of education to make a living, and it's going to be grant-based. You're going to get a job that might only last 3 months, and then you might have to move, and you're going to have a kind of a tough existence that way. But if you're passionate, I said, well, I'm not that passionate. I don't think that that's the future I want. I wanted to get settled down and eventually come back here to Northeast PA. He said that's not really in the cards with that profession. So he gave me a pamphlet on physical therapy, and he said, if you are a caring person and you love science and healthcare might be the way to go. And I volunteered at Allied in Scranton on the Morgan Highway. And I got assigned to a PT there that was very experienced. He was really hard-nosed. He was like, no joking around. He just loved what he did though. And he was very good at it. And he was really hard on me, like demanding, even though I was a volunteer. And I knew from that experience that I was going to enjoy this type of work, and I went right in and applied for grad school, and 23 years later I'm still into it.
So you took the love of sports and hanging around the neighborhood with the neighborhood kids, and obviously the academic end of science, and you're kind of living the dream in the sense of you're around sports, you're around athletes, around people, and you get to hone your craft there at Elite Spine and Sports.
Yeah, definitely. I live vicariously through my athletes. So when I work on an injured athlete and then I, hear back from them or I see them in the paper doing amazing things. I've had, the great fortune to deal with some really fantastic athletes and good people go on to some excellent things, club championships, playing on, in minor league sports, playing locally for high schools and colleges. And it is, like me scoring a touchdown. It feels awesome to see that stuff happen.
Your business stands out there on the corner of Wilkes-Barre Boulevard and Butler Street, big building, Elite Spine and Sports, but things weren't always that way. Talk a little bit about some of those humble beginnings that you started in the profession.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I had no entrepreneurial kind of bent. I was really happy just being a clinician. And my former employer just promoted me into a managerial spot. And that kind of changed my whole philosophy. I thought, wow, I'm not only responsible for how I behave and what I do with my patients, but now I want the whole team to be excellent. I want the business to be excellent. And I got to know the numbers, the billing side of things, marketing, and I fell in love with it. Even though it was, it wasn't my money on the line, it still felt like, wow, we're building something here. And I worked there for 7 years. And then unfortunately that business was sold to like a national corporation, and they had one way of doing things, and it didn't allow me to be creative anymore. So that was 2013 is when Chris and I decided that she would keep a full-time job and I would be the sole clinician in our own clinic, and she would eventually join us. So I rented an 1,800 square foot room above Isabella Restaurant over on 315. And while that was being finished, I was actually seeing patients in a racquetball court, which was funny because you could barely hear each other with all the echo. And moved into that small spot. It was just me alone in that room. I would see in a typical day 2 to 3 patients, and I would be there all day because one guy would want the morning, one guy would want the afternoon, and it was scary. I think I took around an 80% pay cut the first year I was in business from leaving the other job. So it definitely kind of didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought people were going to be beating down my door ready to come see me, and that just wasn't the case. No one knew where I was or who I was. So that it was a really struggle. It was a very stressful first year. And then we just started to pick up some momentum through word of mouth. And my wife came on in year 2, and we outgrew that space by around year 3. We were seeing, 250 patients in a week in a small space. And we had grown a fitness program out of our PT program. And we had about 70 fitness clients and all those PT patients kind of tripping over each other. And that's when we looked for our own new space, and we moved over here to Butler Street year 4 and went from 1,800 square feet to 12,500. So it was a pretty big shift.
And you have a huge facility. You said 12,500 feet, but now it just seems like you have such a culture there that even though you have a big space, the tight-knit community, so to speak, of Elite Spine and Sports between the members that work out there and then all the physical therapists, it really is a tremendous team effort, and there's a lot of relationships that have been built there.
Yeah, I am so blessed. I'm going to be 47 this year, and I have PTs now in their 20s and PTAs in their 20s working, and I don't have kids. So it's really cool to see these young kids develop and become excellent. And I through luck and just our hiring process, just found really, really good people that I like being around as people. We share a lot of our same values, and I just enjoy their company. So I think that really leads to a lot of my happiness. And I think that positivity of the staff and myself, because we're all kind of friends as well as teammates here, I think the staff cohesiveness really impacts the patient. The patient knows we're happy. We're happy that the patient's there. We're happy to work together. And it's a nice change up from some traditional medical models.
So fortunate here on the John Mendola show that local businesses have supported my show. You're a local business. You do support your community. But at these trying times, I'm sure one part of your brain stressing like, okay, what am I going to do here? Like many small businesses to try to survive. But at the same time, the outpouring of the people that are involved that have come to Elite Spine and Sports, and that I'm sure those are the stories, those conversations, whether it's via on social media or a text or a phone call or an email, that keep you going and stay in the course.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm an emotional guy, and if I tell these stories in detail, I'll cry. I mean, I don't want to do that. I'm an easy crier, but we closed down our gym, I think the day before the governor mandated that it be closed, because there were so many unknown variables and it just seemed safer to do that. So we decided to close. We notified every member, and it's a personal training gym. So it's not a $10 a month gym. It's a significant investment because we're paying coaches to coach you every session. And I immediately called everybody and we said, hey, we're going to close for your safety and we're going to freeze your membership. And that's what I expected to go from, a profitable gym down to zero in a day. And the very next day I got a bunch of messages. I got a phone call from people and they're saying, listen, you guys have been so good to me that I want you to continue to bill my credit card, my full gym membership for as long as you're closed. And I don't care if it's 6 months or a year, I'm going to pay you for all the stuff. And like, I'm choked up thinking about it. And like people from all walks of life just saying, nope, you've done enough for me. And I feel terrible because I'm charging them for nothing. So we have a couple people that insisted on that, several actually, that it overwhelmed me. I couldn't believe it. And we're doing online free workouts for anybody that wants to see it and participate, because I think exercise is important. And just a lot of thank you cards, stuff like that, messages coming in to kind of give me some positive feedback on that. And that keeps me going when I'm exhausted.
I see your workouts, your face all over. You keep going. You keep that positive light about you. I'm sure your wife is probably like, man, this guy married the right guy, because he just has that great message. But hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're all hoping in our own way that we could gain some sense of normalcy. And obviously our thoughts and prayers are with everybody right now with this virus. But you'd love to be back and set that tone of normalcy there at Elite Spine and Sports.
Yeah, I'm just counting the days. The most stressful thing is not knowing where the finish line is, and we're running and we're trying to keep things together. And it would be great to know, hey, on this date, things are going to be normal again. And I know that's impossible for anybody to know. I know the day will come, but I know that we'll just have to keep marching forward until we see that line. And then we're really going to sprint and really finish strong and try to build this business back up. So I'm excited. But pretty stressed out at the same time.
There's other types of businesses out there, whether it's, restaurants are trying to do takeouts, some insurance agents, various forms of places, local businesses. And what's your message? I mean, you look like your attitude is pretty good, even though we know that there's some challenges right now, but what would be your message right now to everybody right now going through this challenge?
Yeah, I put it out on LinkedIn that I think the number one thing you can do during a time where a lot of people are in really bad situations and stress is whatever you can afford to give. And I see a ton of that on Facebook. I know a friend of mine owns a lot of Dunkin' Donuts. They're bringing stuff to the ICU, and they're bringing stuff to Geisinger to give them some comfort and that jolt of caffeine in the afternoon. Do whatever you can do in your own way, whether it's you're getting on and doing interviews on Zoom, whether you're getting on and you're sharing recipes, doing jokes, playing music, whatever you can do. I'm doing these free workouts because it might help 10 people. And I have an hour a day that I dedicate to that, and I feel great about doing it. I think we all need to reach out and help each other. And if you can do that in any way, shape, or form, that you have some skill or talent or product that you could afford to give, just give. I think it's important for people to see that human beings are still kind, giving, and good, and that we're going to come out of this in a much better place if we all focus on that stuff.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people that are still getting paid for work. Some people are still at home and maybe not able to go in, and they're getting paid. Then we have the people that you had said, some of the sanitation workers and the hospital workers, the mail carriers, truck drivers, people at a lot of the grocery stores that are working their tails off. And they need to be acknowledged, which I know that you are doing. Let's just go from that over to, hey, down the road, you're hoping to be thriving and continuing and growing there at Elite Spine and Sports, and hopefully that future is very soon. And anything new for 2020 that you were planning that you hope maybe you could get regenerated a little bit?
Yeah, we had, if you can see behind me, there's a net in the background there. This was our first year where we had off-season baseball training, and we had 2 fantastic baseball teams in here with great quality kids working really, really hard, getting ready for their season, which was heartbreakingly canceled. But our plan for the 2020 summer was to have those kids come back. And since we have kids out of school in June, we had 2 teams all the way through the winter, 3 days a week. We were trying to fill up our entire summer because we have trainers that are excellent and they're really into sports, and we were trying to get that youth sports program going. So we were really ready to go there. If we get the green light to, and things are safe again, to bring athletes back in, we'd love to work with football, field hockey, lacrosse, soccer, you name it. If you have a group of 10 or 12 athletes, we'll put together a fantastic program for them. We have fantastic coaches that are going to push them and get them to a new level. So that's what we're looking for in 2020. And we were just heading towards a really good spot, but I hope we can get right back to it.
Well, Jack, one thing I think that stands out with you and your team at Elite Spine and Sports is the loyalty of the people that are involved there, whether it's the workers or your employees or the people that go there. They're loyal to you, and I would advise anybody, if they're looking for some advice, give you a call, you're going to call them back. Send you an email, you're going to email them back. If there's any advice while they're at home getting some free time, maybe they're looking for some workout advice or asking some questions, you'll get back to them. We appreciate your time, and we wish you the best through this pandemic.
Thanks so much, John. Thanks for having me. It's been a dream of mine to talk to you, and I was never a good enough athlete to do that. So this proves that nerds eventually rule the world.
Hey, you rock. All right, Jack Digwood for Elite Spine and Sports. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, John.